Hey there, small business rock stars. Today's episode is all about marketing, but not just any marketing, really marketing that actually aligns with who you are. And so you stop feeling like you're struggling and you actually start attracting the right people. We're going to give you guys a clear framework that makes marketing feel natural and effective. So you're not just throwing things at the wall and hoping something sticks. And really excited for a couple of things. We're back live here, and I have my amazing co-host and wife, Kylene, back with me. Like she's in the flesh. I actually touched her, and not just recorded today. So great to have Kylene back today.
Yes, hello everyone. I'm excited to be back as well. I love today's topic because so many business owners love to complicate marketing, including myself. I will be very open with that. So sometimes we just think it has to be perfect. We need a fancy tactic, but really it just starts with knowing yourself and who your ideal customer really is. So we're going to simplify it today and give you some real steps for action.
Excellent. Hello, Chandler, and hello, Barb. Thanks for tuning in from North Central Minnesota for Barb. So appreciate you guys being here. Those of you that are watching live, pop in there and say hello. And we've got Vicky tuning in. Thanks for being here, Vicky. Awesome to see everybody. Now, I did last week in the recording say, hey, we're going to maybe be doing something special. So just not to fear, the event at 80/20 is coming up. It just had to be pushed back a little bit. So it's really important to me. And I don't know if this is just me. I know a lot of other people that I know it also is important to them. Right? When you say something, you got to kind of do what you say you're going to do, or you have to renegotiate it. So I try. And I know I don't get everything, but I really try to make sure that I do what I say I'm going to do and then renegotiate if something changes. So before we do jump in, though, if you guys could tag a fellow business owner, maybe in the comments or just somebody you think might benefit from today's episode. So get them in here. And we're all about lifting each other up and spreading the love. And so we are just excited to be back for another live episode of Small Business Saturdays. And we're going to take a moment to just get pumped up here with a little bit of music in our intro, and then we'll get back in and dive into it. Kylene, sound like a good plan?
Sounds great.
Here we go.
Dark days, overwhelmed, trapped in a maze. Small business owner, stress had me in a daze. Every problem piled up, couldn't catch a break. Thought I couldn't make it, my dreams were at stake. But then I found a group that changed my whole perspective. Our success group of a community so effective. We all chasing that dream, sharing struggles and fears. They understood my journey, wiped away my tears. Together we grow through, we rise above. No more feeling stuck, we're fueled by love. Our small business is shining, reaching new heights. With the support of our success group, we're taking flight. The power is strong, the vision so clear. Building our dreams with no more fear. Together we're resilient, unstoppable force. With our success group.
Let's talk some business.
Hello, and welcome again to Small Business Saturdays. We are excited that you guys are here with us, and we're here to help you fall in love with your business. So if you're tuning in live, drop a comment and let us know. Some of you have already done that. And if you're catching the replay, type replay in the comments.
Absolutely. So, Julie, hello. Good to see you today. And thank you for tagging Michelle Nelson. So hopefully Michelle will see this and everybody checking in. I love it. And then Chandler, yes, dance time. Kylene can confirm I was dancing. It wasn't pretty, but I still was dancing.
No comments.
Oh, hey. Well played. I like it. Regina. Hello, Regina. So good to see you. Regina, for those of you that aren't familiar with Regina, you need to check her out if you need any amazing home decor or angels or anything like that. She is recently retired. I think this was the second 9 to 5 that you retired from, Regina. You're such a rock star. But now she is into her gig full time on Etsy, well on her way to her 1,000 sales, 1,000 followers. That's the first step. So great to see you, Regina. Thank you for being here. Yeah, absolutely. And then Craig checking in, had a good day. I just saw that right before we came on, Craig, so I haven't had a comment on it yet. But both photos sold at the show. So you know what? Let's
congratulations.
Break out the pom-poms on that one. I think that's pom-pom worthy. So good job. And And then Julie trying to find the reply to say, hey, appreciate it. All right. Oh, there we go. Vicky tagged MJ Artistry. Thank you, Vicky. Appreciate you tagging somebody. Chandler says, my favorite part is watching Kylene push you. Absolutely. That's my favorite part too. Yeah.
I still laugh.
Nice. And then Chandler tagging Lucas. Awesome. Lucas, hopefully you tune in. Love to hear your thoughts on all of this. So, Kylene, just probably for you, because it's been so long, right? I got to remind you how this works, right?
Yeah.
You're
going to text me to see what I remember.
Yeah. How many pillars do we have, Kylene?
Three pillars.
Okay. Do we always go in the same order, Kylene? Yeah, go ahead. What are the three pillars?
Sure. So we look at our mindset, getting our belief in ourself, and just that whole. It all starts up here, right? So we got to get that in the right place, and then we go into our fundamentals. So that's the how-to. That's the action part, and then we go into wellness. So looking at how can we take care of ourselves, all of ourselves, holistically, to make sure all these things keep moving forward. So that's kind of the structure of how we do this. And then we switch it around, or Aaron switches it around according to our topic and kind of how it flows. But looks like today we're doing mindset first.
Yep. We're getting into mindset first. So today flowed in the natural order there, mindset, fundamentals, and wellness. But Sandy, glad to have you along as well. Good to see you, Sandy. All right, you guys. So let's get into mindset, right? And your marketing starts with you. That's kind of the basic idea that we want to cover here. And I think that a lot of times we tend to approach marketing backwards. Right. We want to focus on the tactics first. The questions like, should I be on TikTok? Terry and I were talking in Two Regular Guys yesterday about a customer that he was talking to, and they were going to wait to grow their business, to make a investment in their business until they understood what was going on with the TikTok situation. And I was like, wow, interesting. Right. Hey, that's their response, their prerogative to choose that way. But sometimes I wonder if people maybe are putting it backwards. Right? Are we worried about, should I run a Facebook ad? But the reality is those shoulds can be answered only by you, not by me telling you, you should be on TikTok. You need to be doing, I might say, hey, Facebook ads are working really great for me right now. Or, everybody loves watching me dance on TikTok. I'm getting rave reviews and going viral all the time, which we know is not true. So we do need to root our marketing into our strengths, values, and passions. And that's what we've been talking about here really since the beginning of the year. And so I guess in a way, if we don't build our marketing foundation on our strengths, values, and passions, it's kind of like building your house on sand, right? It's just not going to hold up ultimately, right, Kylene?
Yeah. I mean, that's, I think, why it feels like a chore sometimes, because it's not connected to you. We're not being authentic. We sound like someone else, and we're attracting the wrong people as a result. And it just doesn't feel right. And then it's just not personal at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, before we keep going, I just noticed Julie's comment, and yes, you are a very good sport, Kylene. So thank you for that.
What I get in here.
Maybe that's why you were gone for a month. You had enough. All right. So that's exactly it, right? We need to get this marketing to feel just natural, right? Because here's the deal: marketing is sometimes also often misunderstood. We think that it's about going out and finding all of these customers and doing all this, and really sometimes we even think marketing is sales, right? Like, oh, my marketing's not giving me any business. Well, yeah, because that's not the intent. Marketing is an awareness and really an awareness of your ideal customers, knowing what you do. Right now, then there's a point where things turn and it becomes part of the sales process, but that's different. Now, we still want to align our sales process with our strengths, values, and passions, and we can kind of utilize our marketing to get people further down the road. But the idea here is we need to think about marketing differently, because it really is, how do I share what I do with more of the right people so I'm attracting them and they're telling their friends about it? And so it has nothing to do with the tactics. Yes, we talk a lot about social media because that's where a lot of people are at, right? So there's a lot of opportunity there. But your marketing could simply be going to a networking event every day and telling somebody about it, or going to your local coffee shop and making sure that you have a great way to tell people what you do if you're somebody that's outgoing, like your dad, for example, Kylene.
Yeah.
I used to always kind of tease him and you a little bit that I don't think he ever met a stranger. I don't think
Yeah.
there's such thing as a stranger in his life. And honestly, for him, marketing would have been best to just, sit in the front of his garage and say hi to people as they walk by and tell them what he does, right? Like, not in a salesy way, but hey, what do you need, and so at the end of the day, how you think about marketing is really important, and it really isn't about being everywhere. It's about being intentional. And if your message is clear, you don't need to chase customers. They're going to come to you because they resonate with what you stand for, right? They feel your strengths, values, and passions, and they go, yes, I like that. I want some of that, right? You're so on fire that people just want some of that. So that's how we think about marketing is really important, Kylene.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that really is it. That is that mindset shift that you have. It's about connecting. It's not about selling. It's about connecting. And the clearer you are about what you're all about, the more natural that message is going to come across to others. And then you're going to bring in those people that align with your business. And it's like you always say, it's simple. It's not always easy, but it's just having that intentional mind, getting yourself in that right mindset.
Yep, absolutely. All right. So, Barb, thank you for tagging HSS by Nario. I believe I'm saying that correctly. So, hopefully they've caught this, and we'd love to hear your take and get you in as a regular listener here. But I guess before we move into the fundamentals section, Kylene, I'd love to ask those that are tuned in live right now, just be honest with yourself, be honest with the people that are here. We're all here to not judge each other or anything like that. We're all here to just rise the tide. And to be honest with you, I'm pretty sure my answer to this is probably going to be your answer to this. But have you ever felt like marketing is a struggle? Like, does that, if you're being honest with yourself, okay, Kylene, that was a little kind of, yes, maybe.
That was me.
Right. And I'm going to go two hands up. There's lots of times, even now, knowing this, that I know, there are times when I get so stuck in the tactics of it and looking at the metrics and, oh my gosh, this isn't working. And, oh, I've done 3 live videos this week and 4 people have shown up, right? Like, we get to that and then it starts feeling like a struggle. And every time I come back and go, okay, what are my strengths? What are my values? What are my passions? What's my reason? And if it aligns with my reason, just keep doing it. Right? The how, the what, and the who will work itself out as you continue to do new things, try new things, right? So Regina says definitely a struggle. Vicki says sometimes, absolutely. There we go. Chandler says, I love marketing, but it's time consuming sometimes in the way I focus it. There you go. Right. So awesome. Okay. Well, I appreciate you guys sharing. And Kylene, I know that it has been, you want to share any thoughts about where you've felt it be the most struggle for you?
Oh my gosh. I think back when I first started WeHeart.biz, when I had that, oh my gosh, I would spend hours on just like a post to make it sound perfect and make it look like other businesses. And then I had zero connection to it. I'd had zero like comments and results from it because it wasn't me. I was just trying to be something that I wasn't. And therefore it became a chore, 100% became a chore, and I despised it. And so I've come a long way. It's still a thing that I'm working on, letting my guard down more and being more authentic on them when I am connecting with others. I love connecting with people in person or like this platform. I love that. But with like social media and things like that, it does become a chore for me because I have to be really, I have to be more authentic on there.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Okay. All right. 2 comments I want to get to as well. You just said there also, but so first off, Chandler says, I'm a weirdo. I'd rather do group marketing instead of one-on-one. So I'm going to give Chandler a high five there because team weirdo here. I'm the same way, right? Like, give me a crowd of people, I'm all about it. One-on-one, I have a hard time getting that conversation started. Kylene's my safety blanket typically in those kinds of scenarios, right? So, I mean, you can be honest about it, Kylene. What have you seen me struggle there?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's draining on him. Like he can impact. So Aaron wants to make impact. I think you guys have figured that out. And so by one-on-one, while he loves it, if he also wants to impact people. So if people don't have, like, for example, after your seminar that you had, where were we in Vegas? What event was that?
Oh, Printing United. Yeah.
United. You know, he had a line of people ready to talk to him, and he had someone that he wanted to make sure he answered their question. But then all these other people kind of eventually walked away, and you were like, I just wanted to reach all of them at once and then, connect deeper later.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't know if that was
Yeah, no, that's exactly
what
right.
you're kind of thinking about. But
Yeah, because you're right. But see, I think really truly understanding that though is so crucial. That's what we're talking about. Like in this is really think about what that is for you, because it's not necessary. The nuance of it is also really important, because it's not necessarily that the one-on-one is not me. Like
yeah,
once I've got a relationship with somebody, or I have a bit of an understanding. I mean, I shoot, Julie and I had a one-on-one not too terribly long ago. Chandler and I had a one-on-one not too terribly long ago. I left those so fulfilled, so on fire, that I was ready to just go, right? But again, those kind of first conversations can be difficult for me. So
yeah, that's small. The initial small talk is hard
yeah,
for you.
yeah, and nothing says that I'm right, that other people aren't right. Like that's the other part. Like just because that's not it for me doesn't mean that that's not the way that Kylene would go about it. So, Sandy says here, I really dislike talking to people, but when I'm talking about my business is about how I can help them, it isn't so hard, right? So that
Perfect.
little nuance change, right? Like talking to people, not really Sandy's thing. Totally understand that, Sandy. But when you are talking about your business in a way that and how your business can help them, it's a whole different story. So, you don't want to just have this general broad statement that I just don't like one-on-one connecting, right? Per se. So, and Chandler says that's because he loves us. And I absolutely true. That is absolutely true. And then Vicky's question here, this is a great question. I want to know how to reach other states. So Vicky, I put a star on this. I want to come back to this. So let's dive into the fundamentals, Kylene. And I think from that, we can have some ideas, but I do want to come back and address this specifically for Vicky. Does that sound like a good plan?
Yep.
Okay.
Sounds great.
All right. So when we talk about the fundamentals of this, right, that's the mindset. We want to make sure that it's coming out of who we are, and it's not a struggle. It's about connecting. And with that, then we need to make it feel more natural by some of the tactics that we can use, right? And so when you understand that marketing is about connecting, the next step is understanding that marketing is really telling a story. And that story is going to be very clear and authentic, right? So Kylene, when you were spending all that time trying to craft the perfect message, well, that can be time well spent to kind of think through it. You took who you were authentically out of it, and you started creating the perfect message that you thought somebody else would want to hear.
Yeah.
Right?
No connection to what I was doing.
Yeah, exactly. And again, nothing wrong with that. But this is what we got to start understanding, because customers don't just buy products, right? They buy into stories, they buy into your belief system, and they buy into your experiences, really. So if your brand isn't clear, people won't know why they should choose you, right? So what are your thoughts, Kylene?
I mean, people buy from you because that's who you are. That's what you're all about. That's why you do what you do for your business.
Yeah. Well, and based on what we've got here, right? Like this is why your SVPs are so important, right? Your brand should reflect who you are and why you do what you do.
Yep.
So maybe any examples that you could share there, Kylene?
I mean, for example, if we have embroiderers here, I sell embroidered gifts. You could say, I create comfort for people going through hard times with like a special message that is embroidered on with quality care and things like that. Like it has more a deeper connection, a relationship, an emotional response to it. And that's what you were saying is people connect with.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the first step, right? Is to make sure that your brand and story are very clear, but also very authentic.
Yep.
Right. And this is where sometimes chat GPT can be a downside for us, right? If you're just giving it like hey, give me a post with no context and they don't really know what to do, right? Then it doesn't know who you are, right? If you're just copying and pasting chat GPT, then it's not going to be authentic. Right. But if you're using it to give you ideas and you're giving it enough context to understand who you are and what your tone is, and it knows enough about you, then it's going to start to feel a little more authentic. But ultimately, it's got to be you. Right.
Yep.
So that's
Yep.
step one. Step two is we got to make sure that we are speaking to the right customers.
Yeah.
Right. Like I think for a lot of small businesses, we think that our ideal customer is anybody that's got money in their wallet. Right. And I don't want to discourage anyone from taking an order from somebody, regardless of whether they fit their ideal customer profile or not, if it makes sense for you. Right. We talk about it in the Masters of Success all the time. That like, oh, I took I took on this job and I know I shouldn't have. Okay, that's fine. There's a learning opportunity. Now, what you do with that is what's important, not, well, get the job done, do it, get it out of the way, cut bait if you have to, whatever. But we got to be talking to the right customers. So if we're trying to market to everyone, like if you find that a lot of times in your marketing, you're doing a lot of ands and kind of, I don't want to leave anybody out, right? Like your marketing message should talk to specifically one person and not like a made up avatar. In fact, in the seminar series, the Entrepreneur Summit yesterday, that was a big topic of conversation at one point, right? When you're thinking about your marketing, instead of thinking about this kind of general avatar that you've come up with, talk to one person, right? If Kylene is my ideal customer, I'm going to have a conversation in public with Kylene, and other people that are like Kylene are going to be attracted to that. And because it's going to be very clear, right? So when you're trying to market it to everybody, you're honestly, the other side of this too, which is a little bit hard for a lot of us, is your marketing should actually repel the wrong people.
Yeah.
Right. That's so hard, right? How do you swallow that one, Kylene?
Yeah. It's okay to not be liked by some people. It's okay. We are not for everyone.
Yep. Yeah.
It's hard. That's a hard.
Yeah. And we're not saying go out there and be, you got to be like, I'm all this and I'm going to, be on this side of the fence, so to speak, and be really loud and obnoxious about it. But people need to understand you right away. And the more people that you repel, the better your message is going to be, because that will leave space and room for the right people. So Kylene, going back to the example that you gave of the opportunity in Printing United there, right? The person I was talking to, I certainly wanted to answer their question. But as I started talking to them right away, I knew that they weren't the right people. And I would happily help them all day long, whether they're the right person or not.
Yeah.
It's just, I didn't give enough space for the people that maybe were standing behind that person in line that were probably the right people, right? And I don't know if that's absolutely true, but for some reason, my message wasn't clear enough to say, hey, right, like I need to be talking to people that are this way. And this person, while they had some challenges, they weren't interested in any solutions. They were only interested in complaining more.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I needed to kind of really relook at how I was sharing things and the way I started that conversation with them to go, awesome, here's my card. When you want to complain a little bit more later, obviously not in that way, it's a little bit nicer than that, but so I guess how do you think about that a little bit differently when you're trying to repel the wrong people and attract the right ones?
I mean, you have to go beyond just like the demographics, like a female age 40 to 50 or something like that.
Yeah.
You have to think about like, what are their values? What are they interested in? What kind of pain points do they have? When you start thinking about that, then you can realize how your gifts could potentially support them. And then your message is that much clearer when you share what you do,
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Sorry, I was also looking at comments here. We got a lot of great
That's
stuff
right.
in there. In fact, let's get Barb's here. How do you do that without being rude? Yeah, and that's definitely the fine line.
Mm-hmm.
I think what I've discovered for me, and this is for me, so maybe Kylene, you've got a different tack that you can take, but what I've discovered for me is when I am so passionate, so on fire with what it is that I'm all about and what my values are, um, that can come across as like, these are just my values. It doesn't come across as rude. Now, when it's about kind of, like I would have said there, if you want to just complain, right? Now I'm focusing on the opposite of my value. But
Yeah.
if I were to have said, I just really love talking about solutions. Let's make sure that we're focused on solutions, and they would go, oh, I don't really know anything about solutions right now, and they probably would stop talking. But I opened up the conversation to the complaining because I commiserated with them, right?
Yeah.
So that's just my example right there. But I guess my suggestion, Kylene, is just being so on fire with talking about your values, not the opposite of them, that it doesn't come across as rude. And then sometimes you got to use the sandwich method a little bit, positive, negative, positive. So
Yeah.
thoughts on that, Kylene?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely a way to handle that situation. The other thing you could do is you could say, because you obviously feel you wouldn't have entertained a conversation with them in the first place if you really wasn't going anywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you could just offer, hey, here's my card. I'd love to continue this. Go ahead and schedule a time for us to connect here in the future. Or can I have your card or something where you're like,
Yeah.
not hurting anyone's feeling, but you can continue that conversation later if it's meant to be. They will reach out if they really want to talk to you. And or if it's not going anywhere, they're not going to reach out. So
Yeah.
I think that could be a polite way to handle a situation like that.
Yeah.
Or you could even just say, I love what we're talking about. I just want to make sure I at least say hi to these people in line. So can I have your card and we'll schedule something here in the future to continue.
Yeah.
Something like that.
But you also still have to be really aware of that too, because it's like, if I have your card now, I've taken on more responsibility, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And which is not a bad thing, but at the end of the day, if I don't feel like that's going to go anywhere and I'm going to put in more effort for this person who's not quite ready for our services yet, then on the flip side of that, I would go, here's my card. Why don't you reach out to me and email me after this?
Correct. Yeah.
I do that all the time and I get very few emails. Right now, the people that are the right people, I got to flip that script. I don't want to put any more work on their plate. I go, can I get your card, or how can I connect with you? And I just I take that back on. So I just wanted to share that real quick. We have to understand what we're taking on too. So if you're making more work for yourself to help somebody that's not willing to be helped, and I know we're using my example here, but this works for all of our businesses, right? When you know that there's not the right person there. One of the things I found for across the board, whether you're talking about my situation, Kylene's situation, or otherwise, when you put something back in their court, the likelihood of them actually following through is very slim. All right. So that's another way to do it without being rude. Just say, oh yeah, I'd love to. Reach out to me, here, but make it, okay, go fill out this quote form, or, whatever that is that you need for your system. Right. And so that other side of it too is where are you putting your efforts into, right? And so that goes back to make sure you're speaking to the right customer. If you don't know who that is, it's going to be really hard to make those decisions on the fly. Right. And so the more clear I got about it, and the more clear Kylene gets about hers, then she can understand where her time and energy is most well put. Right. And that's not rude, by the way, folks. Right. Because what's rude is trying to be all things to everyone and then ending up being nothing to no one and not following through on what you said you were going to do. At least to me, and maybe that's not true, but my perception is that's more rude than saying, hey, great, connect with me later. Here's my card. You reach out when you're ready.
Yep.
So, and I know that's kind of in a one-on-one scenario, but the same thing is true with our marketing, right? If you're trying to be all things to everyone, and then you end up like not replying to comments and things like that, right? Or you're not replying to your emails, right? You send an email out and somebody replies to it and you don't reply to them. Right? I try to reply to every single email, and I might not get back right away if it's one that I need a little more thought to, but I will say, hey, great, thanks for reaching out. If you give me a couple of days, I want to make sure I get back to you with really good information here, kind of thing. So
yeah, you are really good about that.
Yeah. All right. And let's get a couple of other comments here. And Vicki, I see we're talking a little bit about getting outside of the state there. That one, we'll come back to it for sure. I also highlighted a couple other comments from Chandler and Sandy and stuff like that. Julie says, who? I love that. Love it. And then Julie says, just ask Steve, right, Chandler? And I think that's what Chandler calls her chat GPT, is Steve.
Oh.
I believe. I could be wrong there. And then Chandler says, market to your ideal customer, but help whoever needs your services. That's how I look at it. Not sure if that's a right or a wrong there. And I would say that's a right? Like once you take their money, right, then, but that's your decision to make. It's your business. So market to your ideal customer, see who you're attracting. And then if somebody needs your services, then you get to make that decision and to do business with them. I love it. So, yeah, Chandler says emails are the death of me with people not replying to me. Yeah. So, I'm pretty sure
I'm working on that here personally.
Yeah. Kylene's not great at it either. So,
not sending them, but replying to them.
Yeah. We actually had a conversation. We were hanging out with our neighbors last night before the tornadoes rolled through, and Kylene doesn't even reply to me, so it's okay. Julie says, right, we cannot afford to be people pleasers or we will not be successful. 100%. 100%. Okay, let's keep going, Kylene, because there's actually 5 steps in here and we're only through 2. Shocking. I drug something out. I know, I deserve that. All right, well, number 3, show, don't just tell. I think that's really important to understand. Marketing is more than just what you say. Saying is what you show. Are you demonstrating your values in how you're interacting with your customers? So let me give you an example. If kindness is one of your core values, then how do you handle refunds or different situations, right? Because I know even if kindness is a value or a strength of yours, you can still get frustrated with people. Kylene is a perfect example of that. She's very high on the kindness and empathetic and caring scale. And she still gets frustrated with me mainly, but with, but how she deals with those situations when they come up can be very telling in what your true values are. Right. So, that's any other thoughts on show, don't just tell, Kylene?
I mean, that's what people remember. You can say all the right things, but if you're not showing them, they're not going to trust you or believe you or have that faith in that relationship.
Yeah. I mean, you look at some of the big companies out there, right? Southwest used to really stand for customer service and all this stuff. And I was a faithful flyer with them. In fact, I was one of their biggest advocates. I have a good friend of mine that always flies American, and he always talks about how he gets upgraded to first class. And, we'd be hanging around and I'd always be like, dude, Terry, every seat in Southwest is first class. But the reality is they stopped showing those values. They've kind of gotten to that point where things are changing, and I know it's affecting their bottom line. Right? Well, it'll take them a lot longer because they are such a behemoth, but it's hurting their business, right? And until they get back to what their core values are, or at least what they're saying their core values are, what they say and what they do are starting to change, and it used to not be that way. Right. And so think about that inside of your company. What are you saying versus what are you doing? And it's okay to be honest with yourself. It's okay to mess it up every once in a while, because the reality, your recovery or what you do next is actually what's more important than the mistake that you made.
Yeah.
right? So, all right. Number 4. So step number 4 in this is make sure that you're crafting messages that feel like you. Kylene,
Yeah.
talk to us a
Yeah.
little bit about
This is the one that hits home for me. So your marketing should sound like you. If you're warm and encouraging, don't use language that's super like stiff and corporate and, you know, sounds like that, but it's more genuine to who you are as a person.
that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Can you give us an example of that?
Yeah. So if you sell handmade jewelry, you can say wear something that tells your story. Things like that. Like you can not twist. I shouldn't. You just reframe it, right?
Yeah.
Something that's more emotional based, something that has that connection.
Yeah. But if you listen to what you just said there, though, wear something that tells your story, right? And the way that you deliver that, that's very warm and encouraging as far as
Yeah.
I can tell, right? But if you were to like make that into corporate speak because of, some need to, oh, well, I heard this marketing and it sounded really good, but it was really, but it was tight and like, that doesn't matter. Be you, be who you are. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Barb says, I agree. Follow through is important. And Chandler had said earlier, yes, Steve, my favorite, ChatGPT. And then Chandler said, oh yeah, Kylene, I forgot about that. Aaron always replies. So,
Yeah.
all right, I try really hard. So thank you. All right, let's wrap up number 5 here
Sure.
because I think this is a really great list. And then we can get back to what Vicki had shared there as well. Number 5 is you need to live your brand daily. Right. And again, we've talked about the fact that your brand isn't just what you say. Ultimately, your brand is what people experience.
Yeah.
So again, where are you making decisions in the tough moments to show that you're aligned with your values, to live out your strengths, right? We need to let go of what our weaknesses are because honestly, they're going to naturally dissolve away when you get your strengths into balance. Your weaknesses aren't going to matter at all. They're not going to even show up. You can be aware of them so you don't have blind spots and you're not putting yourself in bad situations. Like very low on my strength scale is kind of, some people call it woo or trying to, like, I know that I'm not going to attract this huge community, right? It's just not who I am. I don't have that. But that doesn't, if that was all that I was focusing on, then I would really struggle. But I wouldn't be living my brand daily. My brand is about impact and solutions. And I try to live that daily. I think sometimes even to a fault, right? Like I have to keep that in balance. There's times where Kylene probably just like, okay, can we turn off OSG Aaron for a second? And I'm like, I try, but it's not going to happen. So yeah, we going back to this idea that it's not what you say, it's what you do. And so just daily making those decisions, Kylene. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean that's your prices, your policies, even like the partnerships, the people that you associate with. All of that reflects your brand and what you believe in. So it's just being aware of how that comes across when what you have in place there for your business. Make sure it really does match.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to go back to Vicki's original comment here. She says, I want to know how to reach other states. Right. And so started there. And Chandler says, hey, Vicki, I started joining virtual networking things. It's really helped me reach out. And then Sandy asked, who are your customers in other states? Where are they found? And then Vicki said, new to that, what platforms? I think talking about Chandler and the virtual networking, right? And so, so I'm going to say 2 things here, Kylene, and you can help kind of maybe make sense of this. Because first and foremost, I don't necessarily know if finding him in other states is the right or wrong answer. And honestly, I don't think that changes our marketing. And so tactically, it might change a little bit, but if you haven't really defined who you are and how you operate, right? Like, who is your ideal customer? So if you just want to find them in other states because you want to make more money, okay, that's great. But what makes the people that are in your state choose you versus somebody else, right? Because people outside of the state are going to choose you instead of somebody else based on that, not because they're in your state or not. Right. So does that make sense, Kylene?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely that connection that you currently have, and someone in another state. I guess it's really understanding who you're trying to attract.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, like you said, if it's just more business, you want to expand, then that message is still the same. You're just, doing, maybe what Chandler said, doing some virtual networking with people all around the US, and building those relationships that way.
Yeah. But, and not but, excuse me. And I think really, it is important to kind of understand, like, selling to people in other states just means you've got to get in front of them. And so, yeah, there's lots of different ways you can do it. You can create a Facebook group and get people that way. You can, like, go speak at events and get people that way, right? Like, you've got to get in front of them somehow, some way. But I guess my point is, don't waste your time, energy, and money doing that until you really understand why they would choose you versus somebody else. And the same reason they would choose you versus somebody else is the same reason somebody in state would choose you versus somebody else. Now, maybe they're walking in because it's convenient for them, but they still have to make a purchasing decision. Right. And so being really clear on that is important, because then when you take that message and then you find new ways to share it outside of your state, outside of people walking in your door. I know Vicky's got a storefront, right? And so there's some traffic there, but so that's one side of it. The other side of it, kind of I mentioned, I have two things, is sometimes we also have to really be aware of what the reason is that we are looking for people outside of the state, right? Have you maximized what you're doing inside of your state versus someone else? Again, you got to get in front of these people. So somebody that's local to you is going to be a lot easier to get in front of than somebody 4 states over who, you don't even know, right? So again, are there ways that you could build some awareness outside of your state? 100%. Is it going to be worth the return on investment is the big question for me. So those are the two things that stand out for me, Vicki. Hopefully that's helpful. So let me know. Okay.
Yep.
Cool. This is really insightful. Appreciate it. Vicki says, yeah, I have my people, and yes, it's more business. Oh, you froze, so I didn't hear you. Did I freeze for anybody else?
Not for me, but I don't know about anyone listening, anyone else.
Okay. I have my Facebook page. I've done shows, but locally my Facebook page is at 1100 plus. Awesome. Right. Like, now,
Yeah.
awesome that your Facebook page is 1100 plus. There's at least 1100 people that are they've at least had to hit the like button at some point, right? So they have that much knowledge of you. But you have to look at that and go, of those 1100 people, how many people am I converting? And if those 1100 people aren't converting, why? Right. And that's the hard part, is we got to drill down to what the reality is. For example, our Facebook group that we've got, I think there's now 340-ish people in there, right? But really only interacting with a handful at times. Now, today we were interacting with some more people, right? So it's just continuing to try to figure out what's going to kind of move the needle, as opposed to trying to shoot the blast in a wider, trying to catch more that way. I think it's actually more about targeting down and really being clear about what you're sharing, and going from there. So Barb says, I suggest a Google business page. It's free. Facebook, I would post about events in other states. For states, there are event listings, then reach out to them. Right. Awesome. All amazing tactics and ideas. Right. I hear you, Vicki. Chandler said, I Googled a networking event I was interested in for my business virtually. That's what I put in the search bar. Yes, I do lives now. Awesome. So you keep building that. So good stuff. Chandler says, I run a nonprofit for employed people who have a hard time. Okay. All right. The two things I missed that you stated stick out. Okay. Do you recall what that was specifically, Kylene?
So one was like understanding what it is that you're trying to achieve was the first part of what you were saying.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And I think she said, yeah, I don't want to get more business, right? Absolutely. Makes sense.
And then,
yeah. And then,
go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Kylene.
I think the other thing that you said was to make sure that you're in front of them in a meaningful way that makes sense for you, and that it doesn't necessarily mean you're changing your message.
Yeah.
It's just how do you get in front of them different ways.
Okay. Because, right, like Vicky says, I already have a Google page, right? And, if Barb's idea, their Google page, Facebook posting about events, all these things are fantastic and great things, but at the end of the day, that's taking your time and energy. So with your Google page, right, like having a Google page is one thing. What do you do with it? Do you update it? Do you post on it? Do you keep the info up to date? Have you gone and researched about how to maximize your Google page, et cetera, right? Like, so we can do all sorts of things. What's worth your time? There's only so many hours in the day, and there's only so much money that you have to generate this. So my point is, come back and really get clear on why the people make the buying decision from you. And then you can say, okay, well, I'm going to try that with the Google page. So I'm going to make sure I'm sharing that story, and we're getting that. Oh, I like this idea about posting in a group, or I'm going live regularly. I need to change my story on my lives a little bit and see what works and what doesn't work. Right. So I think it's more about fine tuning than blasting wider. I guess that's kind of the big point that I have. Right. So, okay. What's everyone's business? I would like to follow you all. Mine is the Grace Period. I love it. Love it. So get over on our Facebook, not our Facebook, but done on the Facebook version of this video, and share and you guys can all like each other's pages, and then you'll get more reach. And right. So, TikTok or YouTube Reels, it's going to take time and effort, and there's organizations in your state that have connections in other states. So, yep, I try. It's just me running everything. And that's why I'm trying to make my point so emphatically, Vicky, is that I know for a lot of us, it's me running everything. So you can try to do every suggestion that you hear, or you can really maximize what works for you and who you are and what your values are and what your strengths are. And so sometimes, to me, it's more about slowing down to speed up, right? So it could be a great idea to go get business in other states. But is that really going to be what's right for you? You're the only one that can answer that, right? And I know Vicky's a person of faith, right? Like at the end of the day, what's God telling you to do, right? That's I think a big part of this in a lot of ways and that's your intuition. So good stuff. My POS is connected to my Google. That's awesome, right? Like you're doing all the things. So what I would do is really kind of do a deep dive into all these things that you're doing and try to really understand what's actually moving the needle, not the vanity metrics of how many people I have on my page and how many views I've got, but how many sales and where did those sales come from? Like that's the move the needle. You said that the point of this was to get more sales. I can't remember exactly where that was, but if I'm reading, not like in a greedy way, but in that's
more business. Yeah,
grow the business, right? So, okay, I don't know. He's my CEO. Okay, I don't understand one Vicky, so I apologize if I'm sure there's some conversation that I'm missing there a little bit, but okay. I want to keep going because we've got a couple other things to hit, but hopefully that was somewhat helpful. There you go. Perfect. Love this idea, Barb. And I want people to keep bringing these ideas. And this is the way that I look at things, Kylene. I think you kind of do too, right? And honestly, this is what the masterminds are all about, is really just getting more perspectives. It doesn't mean that we have to do everything everybody says. And just because Barb's giving you some great ideas here, but Barb's not going to be upset if you don't do those ideas. She's sharing what she knows, right? And same thing to me. I'm just sharing what I've known and what I've learned. And so you can do these things, or you can not, and that's okay. But as a business owner, you get to make that choice. And so just listen for perspectives, but don't take them as prescriptions, as do this or otherwise you're going to fail. Take them as an inspiration. Oh, I could do this. Yeah, that could feel right. But for me, it's going back to that foundation of, do you really clearly understand your strengths, your values, your passions, and why you do what you do? Yeah. Right? And that's where I get really fired up about it. And there you go. So there's Vicky's business in there. So you can go follow that over on Facebook. Okay. Awesome. You guys, rockstar. Kylene, I need to turn this over to you because it's good to have you back. So we get the wellness aspect of this whole thing.
Yeah. So with wellness, we're looking at, making sure your marketing isn't draining you. Because marketing burnout, it is a real thing. It does happen. I felt it. When it becomes a struggle, it's probably because you're not in line. You're not marketing in a way that's meaningful to you. But the good news is, as we just talked about here, it is possible for us to get back into alignment, to step back, like Aaron said, slow down to speed up. That is really, really, really important advice. And it really can allow us to get super clear on what we're doing. And therefore, we're protecting our energy instead of giving it all out, and then spinning our wheels. So that's the wellness side we're looking at, is protecting our energy, allowing us to show up in an authentic way that's actually fun, and you're excited about your business and what you're offering, and then it's effortless, and then you're attracting the right people back because they're receiving your message clearly. So that's something to remember there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's do this, Kylene.
Yeah.
Let's leave people with a challenge here.
All right.
Like I really loved what Barb said here. Maybe pick out 3 things and then work from there. I'm going to be so bold as to say, pick out one thing, right? Just go pick one thing in your marketing somewhere. Maybe it's your bio or how you show up in your bio, right? Like I go to people's web pages, and the first thing I do, and I think this is it for a lot of people, because at the end of the day, when we're making a buying decision, I want to know, like, and trust that person. So I find the About Us page. Now, if you don't have an About Us page, then that's going to be a little harder for people to make a buying decision, in my opinion, right? So go to your bio page. What does it tell about you? Is it, again, corporate speak, and not like half the time I go, oh my, like I know nothing about, like, I don't understand. And this is, again, my perspective, Kylene, so help me out with this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand that if you love what you get to do each day, why would you not want to be out there in the world? I know the world's a scary place. I know there's a lot of negative things going on out there, but if I love what I do, I want to be shouting it from the mountaintops, and I want people to know, like, and trust me. And honestly, the way to do that is you're going to have to put your face on there. I don't make that so like finite, but I really do think it's going to be a lot easier if you put your face on there. Thoughts, Kylene?
Yeah, I mean, it's okay to be seen. And I think people shy away from it, and that's uncomfortable because there's that opportunity for judgment, right? And a lot of us, that's why sometimes for me personally, I don't fully open up, is that fear of judgment that shows up. But like Aaron just said, it doesn't really make sense when you're so passionately loving what you're doing. Why wouldn't you just want to throw it out there and share it? You were given that gift for a reason. So you can share it. That's what I remind myself of when those feelings arise.
Yeah. And so just from that, like, bio perspective, right? Sure.
Yeah.
There's other ways to go about it, right? You can talk about your values. You can, without having to put a picture on there, maybe do something fun, right? Like I've been playing around lately with this fun cartoon character that's kind of Obi-Wan Kenobi inspired, right? Like, okay, have some fun with it then. But you got to put yourself out there. So maybe that's that. Maybe it's go look at your About Me page and really change the story into being more about your strengths, values, and passions. Maybe it's a social media campaign that you're going to do. Maybe start a challenge or do something. But just getting it to a point where it doesn't feel like you have to do it, but you want to do it. And I would be so bold as to say, Kylene, I would encourage people to do that today. Right? Maybe before the end of the weekend. So you start off your week in a place of like, cool, I'm excited about what I get to do, and just rewrite something or put something out there into the public in a way that truly feels like you. It truly feels what your strengths, values, and passions are, why you do what you do, and speaking to the people that you want to work with. So that would be our challenge, Kylene. Any kind of ways to wrap that up there? Tie that into a nice little bow?
The only other thing is to reflect back after you continue to do that and notice how freeing it feels. Notice how you're feeling as a result of it instead of having that internal conflict.
Yep. There you go. Barb says, I'm going to look at my social media bios. Awesome. High five. I love that. Kylene, what are you going to do?
I'm going to do the same, actually.
All right, cool. I love that. Yeah, man. I put these challenges out there and then I go, man, I got to think about this for myself because I want it to be impactful too, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to just go, oh yeah, I'm going to look at my, I probably should, but what's going to be most impactful? I know what I'm going to do. I am going to come up with a plan. So I've got a SVP's presentation that I put on in a couple of other places, kind of more privately, but I would like to bring that to the masses. So I'm not sure if it's going to be a webinar, if it's going to be something, but I'm going to have a plan to do that. Right. So Vicki said, did you ever cover pricing? Probably ad nauseum at different places. Actually, Vicki, so two things on this. So, hold on, I do this a lot and I am working on it. So bear with me, please. I didn't finish my last thought. So my challenge, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a plan for getting that SVP's information out to the world, maybe in a webinar format. This is what I'm thinking right now, but that could change. Okay. So
Sounds good.
I was like clear, and we got some other ones in here too. So, but Vicki says, Aaron, did you ever cover pricing? Yeah, I can see if I can point you to a couple things, but actually, we'll start announcing it next week on Small Business Saturday in at the end of the month, first part of April. I haven't picked the exact date yet. I am going to be doing a pricing webinar. Two pricing webinars, just like we did with the goals at the beginning of the year, where I'll do 2 30-minute, 45-minute sessions back-to-back days, sharing information. And there will be some kind of, not homework per se, but tools that you can use, like a workbook and some other information. And then I will be offering a workshop to go through that and implement it into your business afterwards for pricing. So that's coming up in end of March, early April. It'll be called Pricing for Profit, and that will be an opportunity. So the classes will be free. The workshops will be very affordable. So looking forward to that. All right. And Rena says, I might need to add a photo. Sorry, were you clicking buttons, Kylene? Just when I
clicked a button. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I missed one.
Okay.
Sorry.
Rena said, I might need to add a photo. Ugh. Get a caricature of you if that's a hard thing, right? Like, all good.
Yeah.
Rena, you are amazing, and I know, like, and trust you, right? So other people will too. So just put it out there. Good stuff. Barb says, hi, Rena, I just have my logo. Totally understand, guys. Again, this is not me talking down to anybody. I'm just trying to encourage you and inspire you to go love what you do. And then all the worries kind of start to wash away, right? Yes, there's always going to be some challenges and some worries, but they'll start to wash away when you just focus on loving what you get to do each day. All right.
Yeah.
Julie says, I really love the SVP, has helped me so much already. So what Julie's talking about is for anybody that wants to, I do offer a free business alignment assessment where we go through your SVPs. We look at some things that might be worth adjusting and just kind of go from there. And it's a totally free thing. So let me get the banner for that. If anybody wants to check that out and sign up for that, osg.link/SVPs. So thank you for reminding me of that, Julie. What else we got here?
I clicked it.
Oh, sorry. You're clicking. I'll stop clicking. I just didn't know you were clicking stuff. So SVPs, it stands for strengths, values, and passions. And just to kind of take that one more step further, my belief and Kylene's belief is at the kind of intersection of those three things, if you look at them as like concentric circles with the little point in the middle, is ultimately what your reason is, your mission statement, what some people might call their why. So what I like to do with people is just kind of look at their strengths, values, and passions, see what the pattern is, help them start leaning towards what their reason statement is, but then also take that information and see if there's any parts of your business that might be out of alignment. So, all right, what's next? Yep, there we go. Okay. And Vicki, 5. Love it. Okay. I think it's an hour. And I think I promised Kylene at one point, no, we'll just do this for 30 minutes, 45 minutes or so. And then did you laugh at that point actually, or did you wait to laugh until I walked away?
No, I'm pretty sure I laughed at that moment.
Okay. All right. Good. She knows me. I do get really excited and passionate about it. So thank you guys for putting up with that. All right. That's a wrap, you guys. It's time for you guys to get out there and take the action with this information. Some of you guys already put what you're going to be working on, but feel free to drop a comment. If you're watching the replay, drop the comments in there. It's always great to get perspectives from everybody, and excited to hear what you're going to be working on over the next week until we get back together next Saturday.
Yeah. And then don't forget to invite any other business owners to join us in the Facebook group, Entrepreneurs Success Hub. So the link is osg.link/group. And you guys can join us over there. And it's just a great group of people.
Yeah.
Lots of positive energy there.
Yeah. And even if you are a member already, I know it's just like, oh, not one more thing, Aaron. But trust me, if you are intentional about where you're spending your time on Facebook, there's really useful stuff in there. I will continue to post these high level mindset stuff, but we can talk about whatever you want. All right. Yeah. I love Craig was sharing about his photos. Put that stuff in there. You got a specific thing, even how much would you charge for this stuff? That's totally fine for market research. Let's figure that stuff out together. So it's just a great place for all entrepreneurs of all different businesses to come together and really understand their business a little bit deeper by engaging in the comments. Right? That's the trick. We go, oh yeah, I'm in the Facebook group. Okay. Oh, and I'm reading all the stuff. Okay, great. Are you engaging in the comments? That's where the understanding is going to come from. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Another moment for me to jump up on the soapbox. All right. Regina says she's going to work on her bio for Pinterest.
Nice.
And Vicky says, need to add my vision. Love it. Love it. There you go. Okay, good stuff. All right. Well, if you guys found this helpful, make sure that you are liked and subscribed to our YouTube channel at liveosg.com or on Facebook and whatnot. And again, we appreciate you guys sharing. I know you guys tagged some people earlier, so keep that going. And we will be talking next week about value alignment and really how to position your offers to attract the right people. So a little bit pricing, but a little bit like, okay, great. I don't want to hand you the cheesecake menu. What's your core offering? Yes, you might do multiple things, but what's the core problem that you solve for your customers, and how do you align that and speak about it, right? You don't just do t-shirts, for example, if you're a t-shirt printer, right? You're solving a problem. So we'll get into that more deeply next Saturday, right back at noon. As far as I can tell from the calendar, Kylene, we should be back live, but
yes. Isn't that the library event though?
Could be.
It's the library event. Yeah.
It may be recorded, but it'll still play at noon, right at noon on Saturday, even if it is recorded. And I always go back in to the comments where I can, especially if you've got a specific question about something that Kylene or I have said. Put it in the comments there and tag me in it if you could. That would be great. But again, I do try to go back and look at all of those comments and reply so everybody gets all of their questions answered. So, all right, cool. Anything else, Kylene?
No, this was a great conversation. So thank you everyone for joining us today and sharing.
Yeah.
Means a lot.
Yeah, it definitely means a lot. Awesome. And all the comments and stuff like that. Huge. Okay. Have a good weekend, everybody. We'll talk to you later.
Yep. Have a good one. Bye.
Dark gaze, overwhelmed, trapped in a maze. Small business owner, stress had me in a daze. Every problem piled up, couldn't catch a break. Thought I couldn't make it, my dreams were at stake. But then I found a group that changed my whole perspective. Our success group of a community so effective. We all chasing that dream, sharing struggles and fears. They understood my journey, wiped away my tears. Together we broke through.